Hello, and welcome to Symphony's PeopleSoft Visioning Series. Our visioning sessions are geared to the more advanced modules and functionality of PeopleSoft. Today's session is focused on profile management. Your hosts today are Gary Smith, who's Director of ERP Operations at Symphony, and I'm Harry Notlitsky, an ERP Account Executive. Between Gary and myself, we have over 40 years experience with PeopleSoft and have both worked for PeopleSoft in our careers. We are hoping that our visioning will get you thinking beyond basic human resources and to begin to think about the big picture of human capital management. When you start thinking big picture and take advantage of more of the application's features, the return on your organization's investment is magnified. Please note the two links on the slide. For viewing the videos and presentations on Symphony's Visioning Series, go to tinyurl.com/PeopleSoft Vision. To view the graphic, which shows in detail the integration of the modules of PeopleSoft Human Capital Management, go to tinyurl.com/PeopleSoft Graphic. When contemplating the use of profile management, there are three areas that need to be considered: configuration, end use, and maintenance. With configuration, we need to assess what it would take to configure the module and if there is data that would need to be converted. End use. What are the requirements of the users? And this will include all levels of management. Maintenance. Once the module is configured and is live, what will be the level of effort to support and maintain the application? I'll now turn the presentation over to Gary, who will discuss these points in detail in regards to profile management.
Thank you, Harry. Some of the key guiding questions for implementing profiles are: have you really identified and defined what skills, competencies, etc., education? What are the critical things to track for your positions, jobs, and people? In order to really roll profiles out, that effort must be done. That actually is the most important thing. That takes the longest time, probably. It takes longer to define that than it actually does to do the configuration. The next thing is, what are your profiles going to look like, your non-person profiles? Again, what are you using for that? Do you use position management? Are you going to use positions for definition of that? Or you use Jobcode, job family? There's different options, and you need to plan and prepare for which one you're going to decide on. Also, there are person profiles as well, and how those will end up being similar, but you want to make sure those are defined as well. What is your rating criteria going to be for some of these different skills and content that you're going to be tracking? And then what integrations? Are you using recruiting? Are you going to be having applicants fill out profiles and they are applying for requisitions? Are you using learning management? Are you using career planning, etc.? Those all have to be taken into consideration. Some of the other important things to think about when you are rolling it out is, what is the impact to administration? Who is going to be responsible for this, and how is it going to be done? And that really is geared towards your content catalog and your profiles. And then again, the rollout and the training, because you're going to have, if you're going to be rolling out employees' profiles, that means all your employees are going to need to update their own information or have it converted and uploaded. And then if you have workflows, if you have to approve the fact that somebody says, I am an expert in this particular field, do you want to have approvals? Do you need certification? All that has to be thought out and made part of your rollout plan. When you get to the point where you are ready to start configuration, again, the planning of that is the first step. When is this going to be rolled out, and how? Are you going to roll out maybe a certain group, a certain division? Again, depending upon your organization, that should be taken into consideration. Again, nothing wrong with rolling it all out at the same time. It just depends on your organization. Again, critical thing is to build that content catalog. That takes the most time. That it has to be done before you start. The actual uploading and maintaining that content catalog does not take as long as it does to actually go through and identify everything, which is nothing to do with PeopleSoft. That is outside of it. So that is really the critical component. And again, then defining your profile templates. What are they going to look like? How many different ones are you going to manage? Again, you can have as many as you need to. You may have different, depending upon what kind of organization you have, you may have different types of profiles for different types of jobs. And again, for this profile, how are you going to create them? Are you going to do uploads? Are you going to need to do a conversion and upload data? Or do you plan on having a rollout where you inform the employees and tell them that they have to go in to self-service? That would require training. That all has to be done as part of the rollout. Again, some of the pitfalls, again, I can't stress enough about the content catalog. That has to be defined, and you want to define it right the first time because you don't want to roll it out and then end up making changes to your rating schedule. It will just make things much more difficult on you. And again, really think hard on what you want to approve and what you don't want to approve, and whether you allow managers to update employees' profiles or the administrators, or whether there's an approval that's needed. All that has to be really taken into account before you roll it out. The end use, again, who is this going to be rolled out to? Is it just to employees? Is it to the applicants if you have using recruiting? The managers as well. Again, take it into consideration how it's going to impact your people out there. One of the things that's happened on different occasions with my experience has been it'll be rolled out for applicants, but now none of your employees have that, and it's difficult to get that information out. Usually it's good to plan to have the employees update their information within a certain window just to get it and then make sure they continue to maintain it. Another thing to do is which profiles are you going to focus on first? You can roll out the employees, the person profiles, and then the non-person, or vice versa. It really depends on what you are trying to accomplish. But if you want to make it a smaller rollout, maybe pick one before you do the other instead of trying to do both at the same time. And then the how, again, how do I keep my employees from continually updating their profiles? And part of that could be that if you're integrated with your e-performance, you get development plans, or you're integrated with learning management, that may come naturally as part of the integration. But again, it's still always up to the employee to make sure that they are keeping their own person profiles up to date. Once you are up and live, again, what are the key things to maintain and what is the effort? Again, maintaining that content catalog, depending again what you're tracking. If you're tracking all the different education and schools that people attend, you're going to get new people in that have new schools. You're going to have to make sure that's continually updated. Who's responsible for that? How are you going to get that in a timely manner? That is critical. And then for example, if you track software, always new changes, new versions. You got to maintain that so that people can keep their profiles up to date. And then maintaining those profiles, because jobs will change over time, and you're going to have to update those as well. So again, it's very critical to identify who's going to maintain those and who's responsible for it, and making sure they're doing that using the typical PeopleSoft effective dating. And then your integrations, again, what modules are you integrated to? E-performance, recruiting, learning management. What other modules are you integrated with? Again, you have to make sure that those are all coordinated with the various administrators, or that one administrator understands that they're responsible not only just for the profiles, but the impact of those other modules. So very, very critical if you have integration points. This concludes the PeopleSoft Visioning series for profiles. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact either Harry or myself. And again, thank you for taking the time to view this and listen to Harry and myself.
Okay. I think that was funny too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No idea what I was doing, but I'm going to stop the recording.